It's so interesting to me because I feel like so cute. I feel like breastfeeding has probably been the number one source of our fights and
Yeah.
quarrels and disagreements for the past 2 weeks of being parents to this new kid. And so I just find it so interesting because like it's something that you clearly really care about. And obviously I want what's best for you. I want what's best for the baby. And regardless if you breastfeed or not, everything's gonna be fine. You weren't breastfed. Your mom didn't breastfeed you. And look, you turned out great. You know, you're an amazing person and you're beautiful and
It has nothing. Like, no
like
one knows who's a breastfed baby and who's a formula
you're
fed
so smart.
baby
Yeah, like
as
literally
adults.
that doesn't I understand that you should, you know, according to research, lean in the direction of breastfeeding. But with all the quarrels and fights, I was like, can we just freaking bottle
Why did
feed
you
this
say
kid?
quarrels? What is this, Shakespeare?
I don't know. I don't know why I'm using the word quarrels.
On your social media and like for your fun research,
Yeah,
things that you'll look up and Google, like you're not looking up breastfeeding.
not at all.
But like ever since we had Griffin, our first, that's like all my social media is
Yeah.
and all things I'm like researching. And
We used to share the same TikTok account and I would know
we still
after
do.
well, we still do, but I actually if I'm ever watching I barely watch TikTok, but if I do, I'll watch it on my personal account because you've
Oh,
curated the For You page
it's
completely
perfect.
to you and
It's all about like cooking, getting ready in the morning, taking care of your babies, and breastfeeding and
yeah,
like birth.
I wouldn't watch that content on my own.
Well, yeah, it's just interesting to me in this stage of
Yeah.
life. But it's like I have consumed all this, and so it's like I know all the different fields of thought and like, everything about breastfeeding. Not that I'm an expert, but it's constantly information about that is being shown to me, and I'm looking it up. And so it's like I realize that early on in our baby's life is critical
Yeah.
if we're going to have like a very successful breastfeeding experience. Obviously, if things don't happen right away, there's things you can do to make it, a successful experience later on, but in general, it's going to be way easier off if you get good at it early on. And so,
So the first couple of days of Augie's life, you know, breastfeeding was a big challenge, and
yeah.
it was it was really hard on the both of us, especially you. And so, like, how did that make you feel? Like when you were trying to feed your kid and you couldn't, they weren't latching, things weren't going right, lots of screaming, lots of crying, mainly from the baby. But like, how did that make you? How did that make you feel when you weren't able to feed
It's
your
literally like a
baby?
fight or flight response is
Yeah.
like triggered. I don't know why. Like the thought of your baby not being fed is just like it's
Yeah.
it creates panic.
Okay.
For me at least, like especially early on, like obviously I know in my rational brain there's formula, there's things we can
Mm-hmm.
do to get him fed, but in the moment it feels like the most important thing in the world
Mm-hmm.
and like it's just a feeling of panic whenever he cries. It's like, oh my gosh, like he has a need and I want to meet it and I can't right now. And what am I doing wrong? When it's like, it's likely not necessarily something that like I'm doing wrong. It's just like, it's where mom and baby are figuring it out together and
Yeah.
there's some disconnect somewhere. It's like Mama Bear, where it's just
Yeah.
like, it's not me anymore. It's just like, get this baby into a place where he is comfortable and happy and healthy and thriving. And it's like, I don't care about anything else.
And when I would suggest to use formula,
Oh my gosh. It
what
was
was
like
your
you were betraying me.
okay?
It was like you were like not aligned
Betrayal
on.
is a strong word, so like literally in your mind, you're thinking
Yeah, I was like,
he
how
doesn't care.
dare you? You're the
He,
enemy.
I'm the enemy for suggesting formula.
Yeah, it felt like you were working against me.
Really? Okay.
Which is why I suggested, I was like, you need to talk to the lactation consultant about how you can be a good partner to a breastfeeding
Yeah.
woman.
Yeah.
Because I know that you in your heart thought that you were doing the best thing by suggesting that and like relieving me,
Yeah.
but it wasn't doing that. It was adding more because I was like, okay, things aren't working with the baby, and now things aren't working with my
Yeah.
husband. And so it's like I wanted us all to be aligned and like working together. And so those are certain things that like feel like they undermined.
Are we talking about our big fight right now? Is that what this is?
Well, we've had several fights about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was the big
That was
one
the first one. That was the first one.
in the hospital.
Yeah. You told me when you told me to leave the room, you told me to leave because you wanted some space for a little bit. Did you
Yeah.
actually want me to leave or was it just like you wanted to see how I'd respond?
I think in my heart of hearts, I wanted you to step outside and then come to this amazing realization that, like, oh, this isn't about me right now.
Okay.
Like, Abby's going through it.
Yeah.
And she is just trying to be the best mom she can be. And we're aligned in the same journey. And so I just wanted you to come right back in, like, maybe a minute later.
Yeah.
And just be like, hey, I'm sorry. Like, I see that you're struggling, and I want to come alongside you in that.
So when I walked across
So when
the
you
street
left the
to
hospital,
go get donuts, I went to go get us donuts.
I never saw a donut.
Because they were out. How is Dunkin' Donuts out of donuts?
Don't
It's
talk about
literally-
Dunkin' Donuts like that. I love Dunkin' Donuts.
It's literally in the title. I'm like, wait a second. You're Dunkin' Donuts.
You could have gotten
And
me
you
bagel
have-
minis.
They didn't have anything. They were completely out of donuts, bagels. I'm like, what even is this place at this point? You know what I'm saying? That's like
I
McDonald's
don't
running out of
believe you.
hamburgers.
I don't
I
believe you.
swear to you, they did not have donuts.
They didn't have bagel
No,
minis? The
no,
stuffed
nothing.
everything bagel minis.
Nothing. Maybe, okay, they might have had the bagel minis. But yeah,
They don't have those in
you
the
told me
case.
to
They
leave
have
the
to
room.
heat those up.
It got heated, so you're like, I need you to leave. And so I was like, okay, I want to be respectful of what you need right
Whenever
now.
I say I need you to leave, I just want you to, like,
The problem is
not leave, actually.
the way, and look, I'm working on it, okay? But like, I need, with communication, I need like clear, direct communication. So if you say leave, I'm like, oh, she wants me to leave, so I'm going to leave. But I think it was more
What
complex
am I going to
than that.
say? Hey, Matt, I need you to step outside for 1 minute and then come back in and say that you're completely wrong and that you want to hear how I'm feeling emotionally.
Actually, yes, that'd have been great if you could have told
You
me
wouldn't
that.
have done it.
That
You
would
were
be
so
great.
mad. You would not have done it.
When you give me very clear instructions, I'm like, thank you. Like, yeah, because it just helps me. Because then I don't have to read your mind. It's so much easier for me.
You act like you would have done it if I said it, but you wouldn't have.
No, if you would have said, hey, can you step out for 2 minutes and then come back and we can like talk through this again, that'd have been like, oh yeah, totally.
I
Anyway,
don't think that would have worked.
I was just as disappointed as you were that they were out of donuts. I knew that.
I did not care about donuts, but I was like, if you're gonna leave,
Your parents
Anyway.
came in the room right after that, and I feel like that was really good. I
No,
feel like
it was-
it was bad.
well, it was good and bad.
I feel like when your parents are present, it's good because it helps calm the situation with any parent. If it's my parents, your parents, or another couple, because then it's like you don't. I think emotions aren't brought into it as much. It's more of just like a logical conversation, and I feel like that's easier to work with. So your parents were there, and you were expressing how you felt, and I was expressing to you that I cared about your needs.
That was sad.
Aw.
It was sad.
Why was it sad?
I don't want to cry on every freaking podcast episode.
You're making me tear up a little bit.
Why?
I don't know. You seem really defeated in a way. I don't know.
No, I'm not defeated. It was just sad because I think it was like the first time where like I was like you can't be everything for me, you know?
Yeah.
And like in that time I needed my mom.
Yeah.
And that was the first time since I was like 18 where I was like, gosh, I really needed my mom right now. Because like she knew exactly what I had been through. And that's why community is so important, like to be with other moms and to like talk about these things. I think it's really easy to see other moms killing it, and that's encouraging also and important. Like, but then it can feel lonely when you're going through something that everyone pretty much goes through, but no one's talking about it. And you're like, man, why am I struggling? Like, why can't I pull myself up by the bootstraps and get there? And so it was really good to hear my mom, who I view as such a strong woman, and like she did this, and she also was telling me how she felt the same way, and she was kind of like talking about how it was hard for her to understand her own emotions postpartum and like all those things.